Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week's video is going to be on a smaller item because I've had the flu and I still feel a little bit under the weather. I've got no hearing in either ears, I've had an ear infection in both ears and a perforated eardrum. So that's been lovely. Anyway, this is the piece that I found in my local charity shop. I like it, not because of that on it. Not a cat fan, but it was £2.95, can't resist a bargain, and I thought it'd make a really cool little Christmas present for somebody. So we're going to inject a little bit of colour, use some Dixie Belle products and give it a new lease of life. So I'm going to take the price sticker off first of all because we don't want to leave that on there, and then I'm going to give it a clean with Dixie Belle's White Lightning. So just because this is a small piece, it makes it no different to a larger piece of furniture. It's still a second-hand piece of furniture, we're still putting paint on it and you don't know what's on the surface. So I'm going to give it a good old scrub. This is a degreasing and deglossing cleaner, so give it a good old scrub with this, and then I've rinsed it off. The next thing I did is gave it a scuff sand and removed that cat emblem on the front, which was kind of etched on the front, so I don't want that showing up through my paint, so I just made sure that was nice and smooth. And the colour that I'm going to use today is called the Gulf. I think it's quite possibly my favourite blue out of the Dixie Belle Chalk Mineral Paint range. It's a really pretty turquoise shade, and I'm just going to go straight on. I've scuff sanded, I've given it obviously a good clean. There's nothing else you need to do. I did 2 coats of this just to make sure I had full coverage. Now, I'm awfully sorry to be predictable here, but I am going to be using the bone inlay stencil because I love it. I love it so much. I use it very, very often. I have it here cut up into all different pieces, so hopefully I'll be able to put a little bit of detail on this piece and show you that you can use this stencil on something even if it's tiny like this, or like I've done before in the past, if you want to check out old videos of mine where I've put it on bigger pieces. It still works exactly the same, and it is a really versatile stencil. So even though this is a tiny piece, I still want my design to be central, so I'm going to start out using a guide in chalk to find the middle. I've shown this little trick before, but I'll show it again because it's a really good way of making a good effective stencil brush. So this is one of Dixie Belle's small round brushes. You can see the signs of it. The only thing is with these brushes is that the bristles, that's what the influencers do, isn't it? The bristles are quite long on these brushes. Perfect if you want to paint with them because it glides the paint on, gives you a really nice smooth finish. However, with stenciling, traditionally with stenciling, you sort of pounce the bristles. What happens with that when you do it with this brush is that they're kind of wibbly. They're kind of wibbly and they kind of splay out a little bit as well, which is not ideally what you want, especially when you are working with a delicate small stencil. You want the bristles compact because you want control. Also, what compact bristles do is will give you better coverage because we're not, as I say, painting the paint on traditionally like this with brush strokes. We're stippling it on, so if the bristles have got lots of gaps in between, it's going to take longer to get coverage, so we don't want that. So if your bristles are compact like this, it'll give you better control and better coverage. I've tried lots of stencil brushes out there and I don't really like any of them, if I'm honest. I've spent a lot of money on stencil brushes because I like stenciling. This is actually the best thing I found. So just get some masking tape or painter's tape and tape a little bit, take a little bit of tape off, wrap it around the bristles. You want to leave, I don't know, centimetre or so of the edge, but what that does is it just keeps your bristles nice and compact. Focus. Camera's not focusing, it's focusing on me, not on the brush, but you get the idea. So that'll just give you nice compact bristles for stenciling and better control, better coverage. So back to the piece. Now I've got my centre point and I've drawn my guide in chalk. I'm going to start with the centre of the piece. Again, this works if you're doing it on a bigger surface or on a smaller surface. I generally start with the center point of this stencil and then work from there. So this is just a central kind of round piece, if you like, and I'm going to use that as my center point and build it out from there. You can secure your stencil with a little bit of tape if you want to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then I'm going to start on the very outer edge. So what that'll do is give you a centerpiece, it'll give you your outer edge, and then you've got the negative space in between to fill. And I just find that's easier. You don't run out of space. You also have, obviously, the center is already accounted for, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you just got to find something that fits. And there's so many different aspects of this stencil. I guarantee there will be something. I'm just outlining the kind of frame there in white. The colour that I'm using to stencil is Fluff because it covers amazing for a white, so you don't have to do multiple coats. The other thing you can do with this stencil is you can just use part of a piece. So this central piece that I've used on the door, I want to use again on the very top bit of it, but it doesn't fit. It's too big to fit on the actual little back plinth because obviously this is such a tiny piece. So I've just masked off part of that stencil and used just a part of that part, if that makes sense. So just because it's there, it doesn't mean you can't then mask pieces off to use separately. Now I've sped this bit up because I made a mistake, and I'm going to show you what happens if you do make a mistake with stenciling. It's not do all and end all. I did the side panels, they're absolutely fine, but when I did the centre I realised that all of the elements were a little bit too close together, they were a little bit crowded. So all you need to do is, I'm using a Dixie Belle sanding sponge because it's a 220 grit, super fine. Just give it a very, very light sand and then go back in with your background colour. Again, I'm using a small artist brush here because we're using a small stencil on a small surface. And this is just going to act as an eraser. So I'm just going to take away those areas that I went a little bit, I went with 3 border pieces and I only needed 2 because of how small this piece is. And that's basically how you get rid of any unwanted areas when you've been stenciling. I use that technique or method all the time because you do cock up when you're stenciling, and it's much easier to do that than if you were to just basically start again. To seal this, I'm using Dixie Belle's Easy Peasy spray wax, and it is just that. You literally shake the bottle, spray it on. It's a matte finish. You can rub it in with a rag, a lint-free rag, and you can reapply it a couple of times if you want to build up the coverage, and that's it sealed. It's really easy to use. It's the easiest top coat to use. Here's a couple of close-ups of the finished piece, and this is how the little key box finished up. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly smaller than usual piece. It's always nice to do these smaller pieces every now and again, especially if you're not feeling 100%. But having said that, I will be back to usual sized furniture on the next video. Thanks for watching again, and I will catch you next time. Bye! It's gonna be, I don't know why I was blinking then. I'm sorry to be predictable. Easy for me to say. Well, thanks for watching again. Take care. See you later. Take care. Who says take care? Why? Why? Take care. Take care again. Again. Who says take care? Why am I saying take care?